SASD staff, today I wanted to take this Calm Corner episode and take a little piece of feedback that we got from our virtual learning survey in the communication section and talk about something that we can remedy really easily. We're going to talk about best practices for sending messages to students and families and some workarounds based on limitations of technology that we do have. While part of this video will be talking a bit about Infinite Campus Message Sender, you can of course apply all of these tips and should to messages in Gmail, Smore, any messaging system that you use. The first thing, if you're able to, is specify who the sender is. Infinite Campus aside, how you would do that is if you're able to type in your name, you should type in your name. If you are sending a message on behalf of a organization such as the entire first grade, you would put that in parentheses next to your name. So you might recognize that Tim does these emails or does this trick when he sends out district emails. And so what it looks like is Tim Onsager, and then in parentheses it's Stoughton Area School District. That is to increase recognition. If someone wouldn't know Tim's name, for example, they could see that it says Stoughton or the school district, and then they would click on the email. This also may be a possibility for you or for you to do if, say, so if I were a teacher, Ms. S, maybe I have people call me. They might not know my first and last name, and maybe parents aren't that familiar with me. In parentheses, I would write SHS, something like that. This may not pertain to the message that you're sending, and that's totally fine. So, of course, the caveat to this sender best practice is that on Infinite Campus you cannot change the name of the sender, and so the sender is how your email comes across the students or the parents' inbox. It's always going to say Infinite Campus. You can't change your name to your teacher's name or to your name. That's just a limitation that we have as of right now. If that changes, I will of course let everybody know. What you can do is change the reply to address, and so what that means is if you send an email to me and I'm like, I don't understand that part, I can hit the reply button and it will go back to your email address. So that's good. Okay, so your subject line, the best practice for us through Infinite Campus because of this limitation is going to be to identify your class. So start off with whatever class that you are addressing. For example, Algebra First Hour or Algebra 2, and then you can have a more specific subject. Your more specific subject could be like Algebra 2, update, assignment deadline, reminder, any of those things. That's going to allow your students to search in Gmail really easily as well, and they can also identify really quickly if they have a ton of messages in their inbox to just be able to pick out which ones may be most relevant to them at the time, which ones to read first, because it can be really confusing if it's 20 messages from the same sender, which it is. The next best practice is to set a really good greeting. So, a good greeting means that you are specific. This is more important than you think. Why am I receiving this message can be answered in your greeting, as well as who else is this message going to. So, of course, if it's sent to one student, you would say hi and just say their name. But if it's sent to an entire class, you can say, hey, Algebra First Hour, blah, 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 blah. What would be even better than saying Algebra First Hour is saying, hey, Algebra First Hour students, because that recognizes that it's not sent to families as well, it's only sent to students. Other times you can say, Dear Algebra First Hour students and families, if you're sending to both. It makes it really specific who's on the email, who else is receiving it. You may notice, for example, that I say hi SASD staff at the beginning of all of my Calm Corner videos. That is to make sure that if a parent were to see one of these videos, which is totally fine, they're open to the public, they know who I'm addressing and sort of why. And this is also because anyone who watches YouTube can see these. And so they'd be like, what are these best practices? Like, these aren't the best practices over here in this state or industry. Well, that's because I'm directing it toward a certain school district. This also, of course, applies in a Gmail message, and so you may use an O1 group. If you use an O1 group, you may say, hey, AESC, and that prevents them from going to look at who it's to. You might just say it right there. You might say, hey, building principals, and then blah, blah, blah. Let's go on. So now that we've done this, the sender, the subject, in the greeting, you just write your body. I don't have much to say on that. Set an example. And then, okay, so the fifth thing I have is the sign-off. The sign-off is different than the signature. The sign-off is using the name that students call or should call you. So if it's Mr. Johnson or Ms. S, that's how I would sign off. My advice as far as making a signature, though, a signature includes way more information than a sign-off. Take like 4 minutes, make a really good signature for either your email, which you probably already have, or especially your Infinite Campus. Then save it either as a draft in your email or as a Google Doc. But here's what it should include: your first and last name, your position, or if it makes more sense, your grade, your class, or your school. If I'm Algebra 2 teacher at the high school, I would say Algebra 2 teacher at the high school. But if I'm a learning strat, you may say which school you're in. You don't necessarily need to say which grade, or you know what I mean. And then what is really great to see included in here is a preferred method of communication. So whether it's phone, email, Schoology message, like whatever is important to you, times of communication, or your office hours. So I've been seeing really cool things from all the counseling staff, for example. They have automatic reply emails that say things like, I check emails at 9, 12, and 3 every day. Or they say, my office hours are blank to blank. Put that in your signature too. Something that I have in my email signature that I think could be helpful to people is after my school phone number, which of course I'm not answering because it is at school, I say please leave a voicemail because I do receive the voicemails to my email. So that could be helpful for people. These are very small actions that we can take, and as a district, I think that will make a noticeable difference even this week. It will make all of our emails and messages look really professional, know exactly who they're to, make them searchable, even make sure that kids know exactly how to get in touch with you. So I'm really excited to get these best practices started. If you have any questions, please leave them in my Comm Corner Google form. I will see you next week, if not sooner. Bye.